Hello, and welcome to this special Christmas episode of Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 6 of Ore Monogatari. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. Alright, so it's kind of neat that Ai is giving the recap. You know, the salient points are that she seems to have stumbled across a secret that Yamato is hiding, and Takeo's sort of taken notice of what's going on, but he hasn't truly grasped the situation. So, I can only assume she's going to continue trying to covertly help, or overtly help as the case may be, seeing as how that's just what her family seems to be like. I mean, Takeo could use all the help, and he certainly is lucky to have such good friends. Now, I'm wondering where this talk about shooting stars and all that stuff came from. I hope things get kinda resolved pretty quickly, just because I much prefer a happy tone to this melancholy tone that things are starting to take. I was just sort of thinking about it, but I think one of the really effective things that Ore Monogatari does is that at this stage, we don't really know what sort of a problem Yamato is struggling with. You know, we just sort of know that there is one, so I guess we as the audience, we are sort of invested by the sense of mystery. Ah, dear. See, this is why Takeo needs help. Reading manga isn't going to give you great insight into how anybody thinks. And what's worse, I mean, he's getting all sorts of recommendations. I guess it's nice that people would care to recommend stuff, but at the same time, you know, that's really not going to solve any of the problems. Oh dear. Yeah, I feel like none of those boys stand a chance. Because despite being related to Makoto, who seems to be, more, I guess, level-headed in general, she has the same sort of good looks, but, I don't know, there's just a sort of extra thing going on with her. Okay, so they want to talk to Yamato, quote-unquote, alone, or at least just without Takeo. And I'm wondering... Okay, so they're gonna be pretty straightforward about things, like, hey, what's going on? I don't know if this is the right approach, honestly, seeing as how they're not actually involved in the relationship. I mean, I can't say I fault Ai necessarily, you know. She is trying to help, although I'm not sure if her actions are necessarily the right approach, because I feel like Yamato is the sort of person to feel really guilty upon hearing what Ai's said. Okay, so there's a brief admission, you know, she's not nearly as good a person as Takeo thinks she is, but that's a very sort of vague admission. And I feel like it's going to be something mundane, like she littered once and didn't apologize for it, or she jaywalks from time to time. I mean, as things are, she's just sort of describing aspects of his appearance that she likes. And then she's going to turn this around and say, like, you know, compared to other girls, I don't have any of that, you know, stuff people find conventionally attractive. Man, I feel bad that Makoto ended up sitting in on this, but I mean, there's the crux of it, you know. I think I was saying before that Takeo isn't treating this like a relationship, I guess, between peers, but more like, well, I don't know what else, honestly, but, you know, it's one of those things that you just sort of have to learn to, stop doing. You know, I'm glad this was the problem rather than something else, because this is something that can be solved. And I feel like it's something that can be kind of solved tactfully rather than with a big knockdown argument. And you know what? Good for Ai. I don't know why she likes Takeo so much, but she seems to be unreservedly in his corner. You know, like, yeah, he's a big guy, he's tough. You know, you can basically smack him over the head with a hint, and he still might not get it, but it's not gonna hurt him either. You know what? I feel like, I'm not sure how to put it, but like some degree of straightforwardness is the correct approach here. Oh boy, that kind of punctured the mood. Wow. I mean, I feel like Yamato, the right approach here is to take the lead in some small, simple way. Wow. That is kind of an unsettling statue. And that is rather unfortunate that she was compared to such a hideous thing. Yeah, you know, I guess it would kind of make sense that if she's known him for so long that, you know, there would be something to look back on. Granted, you know, Takeo being, what did she say? He was a third grader, so like 8, 9 years old. You know, they're not exactly known for profound wisdom or anything. I feel like he's just sort of making an offhand comparison here. But I mean, sometimes that's all it takes, you know, it stuck with her, and I suppose that's the important part. I guess it's also rather unfortunate that she didn't act on it or anything. Granted, there was a significant age difference, and that matters a whole lot more when you're that young. I mean, she's saying she was in junior high. That makes you 12, 13, something like that? Oh dear, she was playing the long game, and it didn't work out. Oh, that's kind of unfortunate for her, but, I guess, if she's willing to not sabotage things, that is to her credit. And, just seeing the two characters in profile, that whole comment about her resembling the statue, that no longer holds water, seeing as how she's merely as tall as her younger brother. It's not like she remained abnormally tall and gangly. I'm no cat expert or anything, but I feel like, maybe Takeo shouldn't just, grab a cat with his giant mitts like that. They tend not to like that. That poor animal was probably just chilling in the tree for all we know. So, I would consider this a good deed for the day. I and Makoto sort of setting things right. I mean, there's no guarantee Takeo will succeed and everything will be all rosy from now on, but at the very least, everybody's sort of taking a step in the right direction. Sometimes that's really all you can do. I'm almost reminded inordinately of those old, Fleischer Superman cartoons. It's like Clark Kent running to the phone booth to get changed and all that, Takeo's running with some real import here. Imagine outpacing a cyclist. And, if you're wearing, those stupid spandex shorts and you have that weird helmet, that's the mark of a serious cyclist. That guy can't be pedaling slowly. Alright, so what happens now? Because I feel like this is a conversation to have inside. And I guess Takeo also doesn't know the full context of what's going on, I mean, I guess if nothing else, running here at full tilt was a good decision, showing that you care. Of course, maybe he's not being forceful necessarily, but I guess that's sort of his personality, maybe just saying it like that isn't the way to go about it, I wouldn't be encouraged to feel particularly honest if somebody was towering over me and demanding I tell them what was on my mind. Now, something tells me that despite her admission, this isn't really going to tarnish her image in Takeo's mind at all. And, if anything, it's going to, further invest him, I guess. I mean, I guess this is one of those things where you kind of need to learn, because, that's not how you hold hands. And indeed, holding hands can be kind of awkward depending on, how you swing your arms and stuff like that. I guess it's also unfortunate that his hands are like 5 times the size of hers, Man, I guess the big takeaway here is this is the kind of great thing that can happen if you're just honest, And I guess this also sort of presents a new problem in that no one's really used to this, and therefore it's kind of uncomfortable due to the novelty. It's like, you can have your hand back if you want it, I feel like that's not something you should have to say, So I'm wondering now, is Takeo going to realize that, what he said sort of precipitated this whole thing? Alright. So this is an interesting admission. Okay. So a lot of those little things that might have been brushed off as accidents were deliberate. And I mean, yeah, she was lying, but I think that's like the weakest form of subterfuge. I mean, I think Takeo's got the right idea here. This can more easily be interpreted as she really wanted to see him, I wouldn't mind a little lie like that if somebody said, "Oops, I left my phone in your room." If they did it on purpose just to have an excuse to talk to me. I can't imagine a world where somebody in this situation would take that as a bad thing. Alright, so it seems like they both kind of have their hang-ups, Yamato's a little upset about lying, even in utterly harmless ways, and Takeo's down on himself for, already breaking his vow. Even though they're both sort of adhering to the letter of the law rather than the spirit. Sometimes you just have to bend the rules a little bit. Alright, so it seems like Ai is departing from the story for the time being. It kind of makes sense, she did accomplish stuff, but it's also a bit of a shame, because I kind of like her as a character, she adds an interesting spice to the story by being somebody, unreservedly on Takeo's side and kind of rational and outspoken. Oh, there we go. Nice little shooting star just to tie everything together. Surely that has to be a good omen or something. Or at least that's the way I would interpret it. I mean, I know Takeo and Yamato, they were talking about it earlier, but, nobody else would know about that. So I guess the question is, now that this little story arc has sort of been resolved, what's next? Because, there's got to be another problem. The real question is it a serious problem or is it more of a trivial thing? Yeah, no, this is a serious problem, I think. Oh dear. This conjures up all sorts of images of, practicing kissing girls on inanimate objects. That is not good. Yeah, I guess this is why I was written out of the story now, Oh dear. Well, I guess, oh dear. Yeah, I feel bad for Makoto. There's no way out of this, man. Alright, so who's gonna walk in and see this? That's the real question, because surely this can't go unnoticed. Yeah. I'd imagine that if she heard about this, would be utterly beside herself. Probably for the best she doesn't hear about it. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. Merry Christmas, Space Cowboy.